Okay, thanks for being with me tonight, and I am turning off some of the different things that we've got going on for our bumper. That's our individuals who are our TV stations that are tuning in right now. They have to have a get ready, and so that's what you were hearing there. And I am Johnny Robertson, and as usual, we have a lot of stuff going on, and so immediately I have to get into that information and kind of give you an update. Listen, folks, we're going to keep it real tonight. I'm saying we have a situation happening here in Martinsville and Henry County that involves our city council. We have individuals that we've been associated with for years that are involved in the things going on in our city council, and we have religious situations going on all around us. And so what we look at ourselves as is we look at ourselves as a microcosm of what is happening in every city in the nation, and a microcosm of what's happening in all the religious scenarios, scenes, communities all throughout the nation. You pick a town, pick a community, and you have a city council. We're going to X out some of the bigger city councils like New York City. We're not in a microcosm of what's going on in New York City, but you're not living in New York City, probably, if you're watching this broadcast. If you are, hey, give us a shout out. We'll have our phone lines up in just a moment. Let me hydrate just right quick. My throat is really parched. How are we doing? Listen, we're going 90-0. We have other things going on also. And so you see up on my screen, I have Sunday, August 14th, is a special memorial. This is Gene Bowers. He passed on Saturday. If you have ever been to one of our tent meetings, you've seen Gene Bowers. If you are a person in the local area here in Martinsville, Henry County, Danville, any of the surrounding areas, we just knocked 5,000 doors in Martinsville. You saw Gene Bowers. How is it he passed on Saturday and he was out knocking doors in June? That's just the way it is. Gene was 82 years old. He was involved in using our sledgehammers. He was involved in putting the tent up. I have pictures of him putting the tent up in June before the 20th, and he was a great guy. Been with us for a good long time, 15 years at least. Came out of the Pentecostal Holiness Church, he and his wife Gloria. Why are we having a memorial on television? Yo, we've been doing some of these memorials on TV. Why? Because the family members that are not members of the body of Christ, who did not follow their parents into the church of Christ, but stayed back, a lot of them doing nothing, just living in the world, they cannot be trusted to do what their parents, to honor what their parents would actually request at a funeral. Funeral homes, listen, if you're not happy with your funeral home of choice, you call me and ask, Johnny, would you do a special memorial on what does the Bible say? We'll see about that. You'll certainly get to a lot more people than you will get to through your funeral home, your local funeral home. Not only that, we have the capability, the ability to explain things and to help individuals get ready for their own passing. That's what all this is about. Why do you think God left death, physical death, in the realm, in the reality of day-to-day life? It helps you to recognize that you are fragile. You're leaving here. Get ready. This man is knocking doors on, let's just say, July the 1st was the last day we were knocking doors. He was there. We had more door knockers on July the 1st. I believe we had 31 door knockers on July the 1st, which was the last day of the 10th, and we had on June 20th. So, how about that? He was one of them. So, special memorial will be on our broadcast on Sunday. Now, what are we talking about tonight? We are talking about, as I said, your local area, my local area. We're talking about city functions, government, and we're talking about preachers, pastors, priests, the whole religious picture. Let's get it in our mind then. Jeremiah 8:7. Yes, yea, the stork in heaven knoweth her appointed times, and the turtle and the crane and the swallow observe the time of their coming. My people know not the judgment of the Lord. How do you say? We are wise, and the law of the Lord is with us. Lo, certainly in vain made he it. The pen of the scribes is vain. The wise men are ashamed. They are dismayed and taken. Lo, they have rejected the word of the Lord, and that wisdom is in them and that wisdom that is in them. Therefore will I give their wives unto others, and their fields to them that shall inherit them, for every one of them from the least even unto the greatest, given to covetousness, from the prophet even to the priest, every one dealeth falsely. You know, this is the age-old problem in the religious scene. The religious individuals, we're going to show this tonight, the religious people that are in charge, you cannot trust them. What do? They deal falsely from the prophet to the priest. Well, what about your government? But Jehoiada waxed old and was full of days when he died. 130 years old was he when he died, and they buried him in the city of David among the kings, because he had done good in Israel, both toward God and toward his house. Now after the death of Jehoiada came the princes of Judah and made obeisance to the king. Now let's just get a picture here. Who's the king? And Joash did that which was right in the sight of the Lord all the days of Jehoiada the priest. Joash is a young man who was salvaged. I'm talking about he was secreted away by Jehoiada and his wife when Athaliah, who was the direct descendant of Ahab and Jezebel, were planning on killing him. They were planning on getting rid of all the seed royal. He would have been of the tribe of Judah, Joash, and he was a baby, and they kept him for like 8 years in hiding, 6 or 8 years in hiding. Jehoiada, the high priest, and the individuals who were confederate with him, and they eventually killed Athaliah and stopped the dual reign of the kings of Israel into the throne of the house of Judah. You didn't know that was going on? Well, look at this. After the death of Jehoiada, the prince came to Judah, prince of Judah, and made obeisance to the king. Then the king hearkened unto them. What? Okay, Jehoiada's dead. He saved his life, Joash's life. He hearkens unto them, and they left the house of the Lord, of their God, of their fathers, and served groves and idols. Wrath came upon Judah and Jerusalem for this their trespass. Yet he sent prophets to them to bring them again unto the Lord, and they testified against them, but they would not give ear. Now, notice. And the Spirit of God came upon Zechariah, the son of Jehoiada, the priest, which stood above the people, and said unto them, Thus saith God, why transgress you the commandments of the Lord, that you cannot prosper, because you have forsaken the Lord? He hath also forsaken you. Zechariah is the son of the high priest that saved King Joash's life. The Queen Athaliah was going to kill him, all the seed royal. And Jehoiada risked his life to save him. This is his son Zechariah. And basically Zechariah is speaking out against their behavior, including the king, how that they're leaving God, and they conspired against him and stoned him with stones at the commandment of the king in the court of the house of the Lord. Thus Joash, the king, remembered not the kindness which Jehoiada, his father, had done to him, but slew his son. And when he died, he said, The Lord look upon it and require it. Now, where are we tonight? Y'all, we are in two different realms. We're talking about our government officials. That's the princes. That's who we're talking about here, the princes. When the princes came, what did they do? They talked Joash into forsaking the word of the Lord. Now, that's an extremely important portion of our lesson right here. The princes. That's going to be the rulers, the individuals who are involved in keeping the law. And then in the other side of that, we ended up having the priests and the prophets. They're all false, dealing falsely. So what do we have? We have our princes. Who are they? They're our city council members here in Martinsville and Henry County. That's exactly what we're going to be talking about tonight. Here they are. They are sitting around their throne, on their throne. Look at them. Here's the mayor. Here's one of the city council, Jennifer Bowles. Here is another city council, Tammy Pearson. Here is Danny Turner. And here is Chad Martin. And you've got a city planner sitting right here. You've got a lawyer sitting over to the side to make sure everything is legal. And you have a person who's running for city council. Everybody's got their place, got people back in here. They're wanting to be heard. And what we actually see arrayed in front of us, these are our princes, modern day princes. And then what do we have? We have all the religious individuals. Now, sometimes you end up having these individuals, they're actually mixing and mingling when it comes to their positions. You have some individuals who in fact are princes, and I'm not saying princess, I'm saying princes. Chad Martin, look at him. He is a local prince. You get elected to city council. You're a leadership figure. You're an individual who wields great power. You've got our county supervisors. They wield great power. You've got people in the city school system, also powerful. County school system, also powerful. These are individuals who are movers and shakers, and if you don't think so, you need to start going to some of these meetings. I've been going to them for years. Caleb was at this one last night, till 10 o'clock. This went 3 hours maybe. And what you basically do is you begin to see what's playing out around us. And so some of these are religious. Some of the princes are actually religious. And then you have individuals, the actual players themselves. Let's see if I can get Lawrence Campbell to come up. I don't think I probably can. This is going to be audio. That is Lawrence Campbell, by the way. That is an account of him in the city of Danville. He's being honored in the city of Danville as a result of a book that he wrote, and it's about a Bloody Monday, I believe is what that was called. I was there, but sometimes I get mixed up on the days. I'm pretty sure it's a Bloody Monday, and basically what that had to do with is when the Danville police let out the police dogs, and they were beating the black people that were marching, that were trying to ask for simple civil rights. And so he is being honored, and he is actually making speeches here, answering questions. I actually got to ask a question in my own self. He is a prince in our city, in the city of Danville. His son, Lawrence Campbell, is a city councilman, one of the trustees of his church, Bible Way Cathedral. He is actually the mayor in Danville. His last name is Jones. I forget his first name. And I work in several different areas, y'all, as far as keeping up with all the dignitaries and the religious people and all the things they do. It is a big job. But I will tell you this. These individuals, we're going to demonstrate tonight that they are behaving in such a way that you must keep your eye on them. Why? Because this is what's killing our nation. This is what's killing our communities. It's what's killing the trust that we would otherwise have in our dignitaries, the persons who are supposed to be representing authority, keeping rule, keeping people from inconsistencies, hypocrisies out of our lives. This is very important. When you can't trust anybody, you are in a situation that is spelled basically chaos. And so here we are tonight. And what are we going to do? Well, we're showing you. Why are we doing this? We said we're a microcosm of your city. We're a microcosm of your religious community. We're a microcosm of your government. We are involved in both of these, and we're talking to the entire nation. We're talking about figures that are nationally known. We're going to talk again about Creflo Dollar. We're going to talk about Lawrence Campbell. Lawrence Campbell claims to be the apostle of the world. He is a big deal. How big a deal? Well, I know that Martin Luther King came to Danville, Virginia twice at least, and also Jesse Jackson came to Danville, Virginia, and that it was at the behest of, under the influence certainly of Lawrence Campbell, the Bible Way Cathedral pastor, who is also an apostolic bishop and an apostle, he claims. So, see what we're saying here? And we're on live television. We're on live television tonight. We are broadcasting on cable. We're broadcasting on antenna. We're streaming into YouTube Live. As a result of being in these other entities, we're on Facebook Live in different segments. I think Channel 18 now has the broadcast on Roku and several other plus, whatever that, whatever streaming service that you might have. It would be something of that you'd be paying extra for. It's just all kinds of entities that are carrying what does the Bible say right now. So you ought to be able to tell a friend, these guys are getting down over here in Martinsville. They're up at the city council, involved with these dignitaries, princes, priests, pastors, bishops, apostles, you name it. All right, so what's going on? What's the problem? Well, y'all, let's begin, if we could, with what the problem has really to do with in regard to religion. Let me make sure I get all my stuff. All right, in religion, you actually have an entire group of individuals that are basically doing an about face right now, and they're saying that they did something wrong, and you're basically listening to them, and the question is, what is your takeaway? Now, this is Creflo Dollar. This is not the same sermon that you heard from Creflo Dollar. This is a different one. This is part 2. It was, I believe, 3 weeks ago. Now, take a listen, and we're going to make some comments. Let me make sure that this is not on super fast speed. We are going to speed him up a little bit in order to make sure that we get him. We'll do this in increments to see how fast he's talking or how slow. Take a listen.
You from it. You won't believe that which he already said. And Paul said twice, something about the preaching of this gospel, do not neglect. To neglect this gospel, everything else is futile that you're trying to operate in, because Jesus is the way in, Jesus is the way out, he is the door, he is the gate. That's how you're going to get it done. You're going to have to make a decision. I trust Jesus. And most of you do. Most of you do. Now, so what does the Bible say about?
What does the Bible say about Christians and giving? You know, I really love it when somebody does finally get down to what does the Bible say? And they're actually reading the Bible. Unfortunately for you tonight, you will actually be listening to a little bit of what he ends up saying. I have no idea what version that he is actually using, but it's going to be different than what you grew up listening to if you have any age on you at all. And then we ourselves are going to be looking at the King James Version. And the reason we're looking at the King James Version, it's not like we would absolutely never read any other version. It is the case that if we want to talk to people all over the world, you're going to have to use a standard. All over the world. And Johnny, have you been all over the world? Listen, I've been in a lot of places throughout this world. And tell you what, everywhere I've been, whether it is in Micronesia, Melanesia, whether it's been up and around Guam, places like that, Hawaii, French Polynesia, American Samoa, Western Samoa, places like that, guess what? Fiji, guess what they're using? King James Version. If they can read English, they're using the King James Version, and the Bible that has been translated into their native tongue, it was translated from the King James Version. Therefore, they are going to honor the King James Version if they happen to be English-speaking individuals, because it's going to coincide with the version that was translated for them by the missionaries eons ago, well before I was born. So, why would I change from this and simply cause you to be confused? That's exactly what it would be. So tonight, we're going to be looking at and following along with, and you're going to find out that this man is actually saying the same thing that we have been teaching you on broadcast for 20-something years. And if you know anybody that is a member of the Church of Christ, this is what you have heard about giving. So one of the very distinct things about the Lord's church, the body of Christ, the Church of Christ, the church you read about in the New Testament is, we're not begging for your money. You know, I actually had a lesson 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, and I actually talked about the giving that was going on in Corinth and in Philippi, but my sermon was not about giving. It was about the psychology of individuals who actually do give. I didn't say really anything to our brethren about their particular giving. We were basically talking about the thought process that produces a giver. And so I don't think anybody left out of there thinking, you know, he's hammering on us. And I know that I doubt that I've preached 10 sermons on giving in the last, since 1999, being at the Martinsville congregation, nor the Danville congregation, nor Eden, nor Reedsville, the other places that I've worked throughout this area. Just don't have to do it. Why? Because once a person actually gets what does the Bible say, see, that's what we're doing here. But here's the problem. You're having individuals that are doing some switches on you, and I'm trying to figure out why. And what we're trying to ask you to do tonight is, I want to ask you in your brain, who is Creflo Dollar compared to your pastor? That is the moment. As far as my broadcast is concerned, that is the moment that I am actually looking for. Who is Creflo Dollar compared to your pastor? Creflo Dollar is one of the biggest mega, I'm saying the same thing, mega. He is one of the mega pastors on television in Atlanta, known throughout the entire United States. We basically had an individual who was attending his church, came all the way here to Virginia. After he left out of Creflo Dollar's church, he got into a rogue group of individuals who claimed to be the Church of Christ, the North Atlanta Church of Christ, and he actually realized, you know what, these people are just as bad as Creflo Dollar. Came all the way up here, had us talk to him, and we immersed him into the body of Christ. He went back to Atlanta, and he's not involved in either one of those. My point is, this is a big deal. You're a pastor, think to yourself, my pastor's been telling me he's beating us to death about giving, and he's talking about tithing, and really, I need to ask my pastor, ask him, are you afraid of the pastor? I'm saying, seriously? People come to the city council and they talk to the princes. They ask the princes hard questions up in the city council meeting. But when it comes to your pastor, oh no, he's a man of God. That's what y'all say. And you just don't dare. Don't even begin to think that you can question the man of God. Why? This is the biggest man of God amongst y'all, and he is admitting he's wrong, and listen to what he's actually saying. Take a listen.
Christians who are born again under the grace of God, how they should give, what instructions do they give, what type of thing did Paul preach as it relates to, I call it grace-based giving. Grace-based giving. Number one, we started last week. Paul taught, here's the first thing Paul taught. He taught proportional giving. That what we give should be proportional to how God has given to us. What we give should be proportionate to how God has given to us, and that no matter what season we may be in financially, we're able to give generously. Now, I shared this, but it's worth looking at again in 2 Corinthians chapter 9 and 6. So we're to give, it's something called proportional giving. You look at how God has blessed you, and in proportion to that, he says you need to consider where your giving is coming from. Look at what he said in verse 6. He said, but this I say, he which soweth what? Sparingly shall reap also what? Sparingly. And he which soweth bountifully shall reap also what? Bountifully. So what he says is now, one translation, I forgot where it was, it said, give a little, get a little. Give much, get much. So not only am I giving proportionally to how God has blessed me, but you've got to understand, when you give, now call it whatever you want to call it, but when you give, there is a promise that God is going to multiply the seed you sow. When you give, I'm working more on the motivation. God says that he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly. He which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully. Now look at this. 1 Corinthians chapter 16 and 2. Look at what he says here. And these will come up again. I just want to put it all out as a foundation. He says, upon the first day of the week, let every one of you lay by him in store as God has prospered him, that there may...
Okay, let's have the scripture now. You're hearing him say this, and I'm saying that he's being a little bit limited in regard to 2 Corinthians, so let's go ahead and look at the context. Go ahead and get it, all of it in front of you. I'm not really complaining about him, but I'm saying there's more information in order. He said he's motivating you. Listen, y'all, this is the means by which we accomplish the things we accomplish, is by actually preaching the gospel of grace that is being taught by Paul to the first century churches. He's writing letters, having these letters sent out, and he's telling these brethren in 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 15 through 17, he said, we teach the same thing in every church. So here it comes. Let's get all of it. But this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly. He which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully. Every man according as he purposeth. Now, he said proportional was how they were giving. Proportional. He was talking about whether you're giving this much or that much. He was talking about proportion. That's what he said. But look at this. We're also being purposeful. Individuals are being told, every man according as he purposeth in his heart. What that means, and this is what we actually teach individuals to do, and he's actually ahead of me a bit in 1 Corinthians 16. We're going to go there, and this is what we've been teaching our community the entire time. And I know this. People sit back and they scratch their head and they try to figure out, how do these guys run a 2-week campaign out in the middle of uptown Martinsville, all the different things they had going on, all these people from all over the United States. We come up here and we see an RV sitting up there. We see individuals coming in, and they're not just the poorest people in the area. They're functional individuals in society. There are all kinds of different people, self-employed individuals, persons that are in the armed forces, persons that are working for banks, people that are working for schools, that are in higher academia, just all kinds of different things. People that are working for big companies like Goodyear, people who are out self-employed in a smaller fashion, just everything you can think of. And what's happening? They're all doing this. They are purposing. What does that mean? It means you don't come to the first day of the week. Let me just go ahead. We can put this up here side by side. 1 Corinthians chapter 16. Now, why am I doing this? You might say, Johnny, you're helping these people out. No, I'm helping you out. What you need to know is why you don't know this, number one. And what you need to know also is why is it that Creflo Dollar didn't know this? And then you basically sit back and ask yourself, was the Church of Christ, were they actually following what the Bible said all along? Absolutely. I'm saying, our first visitor on Monday night, I think it was June the 20th. Our tent meeting is passed. And so just in order to keep anybody from saying anything about me, just as far as what in the world, June 20th. On June 20th, the first visitor was a 57-year-old man from San Francisco. He was formerly from San Francisco. He's really from New York City, or New York. I'm not sure exactly where he lived in the city. From San Francisco, single man, never been married, comes to the tent, and you know why he said he came? He said he came, number one, because he saw these men on his street. I was one of them. I was one knocking on his door. And he said, these guys are out, and you could actually look up the weather on June the 20th. It was hot. Caleb was preaching. I was actually door knocking. We door knocked on the days we preached often, as well as we door knocked on the days that we didn't preach. We're out there with about 28 different people, if I remember correctly, from 8 different states. We're knocking on doors. We're in the area that is known as Fayette Street. If you're from around here, you know pretty much that is a black community predominantly. And so I knock on Ellery's door, the gentleman's name, that's all I'm going to say. And he ended up saying, see all these guys out here, guy from Arkansas that hails from Maryland originally, now living in Arkansas doing evangelistic work. He's with me. That's the group that we're in. We're probably in his car. And I knock on the San Francisco guy's door, and we tell him what's going on. One of the things that I always tell individuals is that we're not asking for money. We'll be out there for 2 weeks, not going to be asking you for any money. He's looking at us. He knows it's hot. And he said, the reason I came is because I saw you guys out here in the hot sun, down these streets, knocking on every single door, 5,000 in town this year. And he said, y'all were not asking for any money. And then I told him I'd been on television for 20 years and never asking the community for money. What does that mean? That means that's always been what you will hear if you're listening to gospel preaching. But Creflo Dollar did not know that. And so what we're doing tonight is we're actually showing you how it is that a group of individuals of the nature that you happen to know us to be in this area, how is it that everybody knows us? How is it that we can knock doors? And, I was sitting listening to, actually one of the guys that was with me in the same area, he told me that he was knocking on a door. And the lady was on the phone, but she came to the door anyway, started talking to her, and the other lady on the other end said, is that somebody from the group with Johnny Robertson? And she said, yes, it is. And then I heard her laugh, and they were just kind of talking back and forth. Why would she just immediately go to that happens to be somebody that's associated with Johnny Robertson? Why would that be the thing that she said instead of, is there a Jehovah's Witness at your door? Is there a Mormon at your door? No, is that somebody associated with Johnny Robertson? How is that? And how do we do that? Because we're not mega, we're not super large, we're spread out in small congregations throughout the area, have been, that's the way this has been pretty much. Martinsville have been up to 100 members. That's the most that we've ever had in attendance over there. Not in attendance, but as far as occupying that location and a normal assembly. How do we do that? How are we able to get to that point? It's because we're giving right. We're going about this in the fashion that was done in the New Testament. We're not hiding the gospel. We're not ashamed of the gospel. What does that mean? It means we have to tell people that are not teaching this, that you're teaching false doctrine. You might ask yourself, Johnny, are you suggesting that this got all the way up to Creflo Dollar? Do you know how easy it is for somebody like Creflo Dollar to actually hear what we're teaching on giving and how much we're hitting on what these other guys are giving? You know how this happens? Listen, people call me from all over the United States. How do they find out about me? Google serves this stuff up. Let's look at our one of our internet feeds that we've got going on tonight, and let you just basically see what's on the side. Let me pick one that I know that I'm going to end up using here in a minute. This one right here. See what's going on the side right there? That is the internet serving up another video. I have no idea why. Oh, I do. I started to say I don't know why they're serving me up something at the Potter's house. The reason why is I was looking at T.D. Jakes. What does he preach on this particular topic? And so what is happening is when you get on the internet, and let's say, for instance, that you type in giving, what does the Bible say on giving? Do you not think that Google will serve up Johnny Robertson or Caleb Robertson? What does the Bible say at some point? You better believe it. Why? Because when you're talking about what does the Bible say, we're looking at January, February, I'll just say almost for sure, turning our 3 million mile mark as far as our views are concerned. And Google is going to serve this up if you're searching for somebody that is consistently saying, what does the Bible say? Did you hear him say, what does the Bible say a while ago? So is it unrealistic to think that Google served him up one of our broadcasts or many of our broadcasts? Well, how did the guy that was in Creflo Dollar's church find out about it? Same exact way. And then he ends up finding out that we're over in Goldsboro, North Carolina, and I'm actually set up to live in Goldsboro, North Carolina. That's where he was raised. And he's living down in Atlanta, Georgia. That's how this world works. And that's why we're doing this for you tonight. All right, back to our Bible program. What does the Bible say? So look at this. He said, proportionately, we're saying purposefully. And what did we say that means? We said that means you don't come on a Sunday, the first day of the week, and you basically say, oh, my word, I'm going to be giving today. No, that is incorrect, and it's the reason why these people are begging all the time. Look at how it's done. And he is actually reading 1 Corinthians chapter 16 at the point where we stop. Now, concerning the collection for the saints, as I have given to order to the churches of Galatia, even so do ye. Upon the first day of the week, what? Upon the first day of the week, let every one of you lay by him in store as God hath prospered him, and that there be no gatherings when I come. How about that? You are supposed to be laying something aside. When do you do that? On the way to wherever it is you're going to assemble, you're writing out your check, or you counting your change? Is that how you do that? No. You are actually laying something aside. Well, what's going on in your brain? Every man according as he purposeth in his heart. Pastor, don't get to tell me 10%. No. You're under the law of Jesus Christ, the system of grace. Paul is preaching actually something different than what Moses taught. Moses was telling them to support a national religion, headquarters in Jerusalem, priesthood set up around the temple in Jerusalem, priests scattered all over the 12 tribes of Judah, all over Judah, just basically say Palestine, and they would come in and out of Jerusalem doing their turn at being priests, and that's what the 10% actually was set up for. That's what tithe means, 10%. But there are different 10% that were required. There was a 3-year 10% that had to do with a special event having to do with widows and fatherless and whatnot. And even Creflo Dollar is starting to recognize this in his first lesson that I heard. That's what he's talking about. But listen to this. Every man according as he purposeth in the heart, so let him give, not grudgingly or of necessity. What? Pastor's been beating me to death. Think about this. Creflo Dollar, your pastor. Your pastor, puny little guy. Creflo Dollar, mega. Creflo Dollar says he's learned the truth. Your pastor is going to be yelling. I'd say pastors all over the United States are yelling like crazy over the fact that Creflo Dollar is teaching the truth. He's a big pastor. He's got a platform that everybody can hear, and this is a big deal right now. Why he says it's a big deal? Listen, y'all, it's a big deal because it is actually being seen all over. It's trending. If you're on the internet, you know what trending is. What is trending? Well, if you have your computer set a certain way, when you're on the internet, whether you want to or not, it'll let you know what's trending. What's that mean? What's up? What people are talking about. Creflo Dollar is trending. His teaching on giving is trending. Everybody's talking about the fact that Creflo Dollar has said, throw away all of my material that said you're supposed to be tithing. I was incorrect. In humility, I am announcing to you that I was incorrect. How about that? You know, really, when you get down to it, let me give you another individual. I don't want to lose Creflo, so let me give you another individual. Look at this. Trending. It's trending these days. Individuals actually correcting their theology. Take a listen. This is for you people over here in Virginia, Danville area, who know Charles Stanley because he was raised in Dry Fork. This is his son, Andy. Take a listen.
This point, this is so important. Originally in my notes, I was going to put a screen up here that said, in other words, that means thou shalt not obey the 10 Commandments. But I knew someone would
Let me slow him down. He's a youthful looking fellow, but he don't talk like that. All right, let's slow him down 125 because we're trying to save time. Listen.
make this point because this is so important. Originally in my notes, I was going to put a screen up here that said, in other words, that means thou shalt not obey the 10 Commandments.
He was going to put a screen up there, but he knew that if he actually said it like that and then had it up there where you could it'd be visual, he knew that it wouldn't be just trending. Everybody would be attacking him. This was about 5-6 years ago. Now, what does that mean to you? What it means to you is if you're a member of the Church of Christ, you should be on the housetops right now, actually getting the message out that the Baptists are actually learning that we are not under the 10 Commandments. Do you realize how many times we've been ridiculed and laughed at and fussed at, and pastors said, don't listen to them, they don't even believe in the 10 Commandments. Nobody said we didn't believe in the 10 Commandments. It's just that we are like individuals who believe in Noah, but you don't see us out here building an ark. I believe in Noah. I believe he existed. I believe the things that happened with the flood happened in Genesis chapter 6 through 9. All of that is true. But I'm not building an ark because that's true. And I'm not actually keeping the 10 Commandments, even though I believe them to be true. They were something that were given at Mount Sinai, including a tremendous amount of information for the Jewish system. But as Andy Stanley has finally realized, and it's like, what in the world? Your daddy is the president of the Southern Baptist Convention, and you are just now realizing that? That's how stuff happens, y'all. Individuals come to truth incrementally, and who knows how it is that they actually find it out. Okay, I don't know what he thinks I'm doing right now, but I am on television, and so I just have to clear my brain. Snap back. Okay. How is it that all these years that people have just been floored when you tell them, you ask them, well, how do you worship God? I believe in 10 Commandments. That's what I believe in 10 Commandments. And then we have to tell them, look, you're not under the 10 Commandments. And they're already eyeballing us because we're on the doorstep anyway. Who in the world knocks on doors except Jehovah's Witness and the Mormons? And they sure don't want to talk to them. And then they find out that we're not one of them. And they're like, well, no, well, who are you? And then we say, you're not under the 10 Commandments. It's like, oh, mama, come here. This guy don't even believe in the 10 Commandments. I didn't say I didn't believe in the 10 Commandments. I said we're not under the 10 Commandments. And here is Charles Stanley's son, and he didn't want to put this up on a visual. Why? Because he said it would just actually get him too much hate mail, but he said it. We're not under the 10 Commandments. The Old Testament is not a go-to source regarding any behavior for the church. How about that? The Old Testament is not a go-to source. Well, I don't think I would go that far because basically Paul told Timothy that the scriptures that Timothy was under as a child, they will make you wise unto faith which is in Christ Jesus. You have to actually learn the promises that were given throughout time to people like Abraham and then on into the children of Abraham, which ends up being Jacob, who is name changed to Israel. You have to figure out what actually is being said to prep you to get ready for the New Testament revelation. So, but we're not going to stay on that. Let's listen.
But I knew someone would take a picture of that, and it would define me for the rest of my life. So I'm not going to put it up there, but I want you to hear me say it. Here's what the Jerusalem Council was saying to the Gentiles. You are not accountable to the Ten Commandments. You're not accountable to the Jewish law.
I'll say it again. Members of the Church of Christ, you should be on your housetop. You should be saying everywhere you can. What does that mean? You know, there was a guy in Elizabethton, Tennessee. Now, the folk over in Elizabethton in the Church of Christ didn't like this, but this guy was at the courthouse in Elizabethton, and he was playing a video of ours, and it caused a ruckus. And it got back to some of the brethren in that area, and they said, you should not be doing that. Doing what? Telling people the truth about their positioning regarding the Ten Commandments and the Old Testament, and particularly in the instance we're talking about tonight, tithing, the manner in which we give. So, how did we get there? We just wanted you to know how far reaching this information is, and we're asking you to ask yourself, your pastor or Creflo Dollar? Your pastor or the son of Charles Stanley? My pastor, Charles Stanley. Why, there's no even reason for bringing up my pastor in the presence of Charles Stanley. Hands down, Charles Stanley, he's the man, right? You know that's right in your mind. You listen every Sunday morning to Charles Stanley's broadcast, and probably what you're doing is you're getting your Bible up so that when you get to hear your pastor, you don't end up being a desert that didn't get anything on the first day of the week because your pastor doesn't study. But he does tell you that you need to tithe, and he passes that plate 2 or 3 times probably, and then you probably got the ushers fund that's coming up, the ladies auxiliary, the Bible class teachers, the choir needs new robes, who knows what all. But see, what we're saying is Creflo Dollar, your pastor, no comparison. Why are you listening to these guys? Well, what are we supposed to listen to? What have we been telling you all this time? What does the Bible say? Look at this. Every man according as he purposes, 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 7. Every man as he purposeth in his heart, so let him give, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loveth a cheerful giver. Well, how's this going to work? It's right here. Your purposing takes place during the week you have laid by in store for the first day of the week as God hath prospered him. Your prosperity is what you're thinking about as you're purposing throughout the week to be ready for the first day of the week. And who in America doesn't think that we have prospered? How many, what was those checks called? Let's see, stimulus. How many stimulus checks did you get from 2020 to now? Some individuals had to wait longer than others, but stimulus checks, you know, used to when Bush was giving out checks, it was basically, if I remember right, it was a household got a check. The Robertsons got a check from the U.S. government via George Bush, whatever, whoever. But look at this. What's happening since 2020 is you've been getting stimulus checks, and there are 2 Robertsons that live in our house. There's Johnny and there's Lori. And guess what? Both of us get a check from the government to stimulate the economy, I guess. Lori stimulated a good friend of ours' bank account who actually has a very good book that we hand out with one of her checks in order to basically get the gospel out. What was she doing? She was showing how thankful that she was. She would never tell this, and I'm not telling you our giving behaviors, but I'm just saying she really was motivated because of the way this book actually goes. It was actually muscle and a shovel. It's a book about you have to use your muscle here and you have to dig deep. Do you have to dig deep? Creflo Dollar didn't know this, and this dude is no dummy. And Andy Stanley was brought up at the feet of Charles Stanley, the president, one of the former presidents, most well-known presidents of the Southern Baptist Convention. And he didn't know all of what he was telling you. And he was afraid to put it on the screen because he said he'd be getting all kinds of hate mail. Oh, man. The truth is coming out. And so what's happening tonight? What's happening is you basically are going to have to realize that the individuals that are in the truth-telling business around you, that's where the problem is. How did we start tonight? How did we get to this point? We started out by reading Jeremiah about the prophets and the priests. And then we went to 2 Kings and we heard about the princes. And who did we start talking about? We started talking about our princes and our priests and prophets. In other words, the individuals who are filling those kinds of shoes. They're not really priests and they're not really prophets. They are individuals that are in the position and you find yourself listening to them. Now, what I have tonight for you is I have some information that is queued up. Let me go back to my PowerPoint and we'll get our information. Now, what I want to do is I want to let you hear Lawrence Campbell, and I would like for you to have a chance to understand some of the dialogue that we're talking about. I want to make sure I get to the right one. Let's see, 437. And that one is not the one that I want. Let's get right here. 437 will be our mark.
That affect you as many folk, because there's some folk that printed just the opposite story that they of the civil rights movement and the marching that you all are doing. So now, Dr. King, after a message to our generation, homosexuals, and he suffered a great cause. Yes, sir. Dr. King's birthday comes around. There's not that end. You just don't understand. And yet we have banks that are now defunct. We have businesses that are closing, black-owned businesses that are closing. Talk to me about what the remedies are. But what I'm trying to say in the book is that I asked the question, why is it black folk don't support black businesses? Why is it? You can look around our city. In recent years, just recent years, I'm talking 2 or 3 years ago, there were any number of black businesses that opened up in this city that are now defunct. Doors are closed. Because black.
Now, y'all, this doesn't have anything to do with COVID. This was several years before COVID, at least 5, I would say. And so he's not talking about pandemic-related closing. Continue to listen.
Well, they're supported. White folk are not just going to go to a black business place. It's black folk who run to white folk, not white folk running to us. Black folk will run to the white church. Yes. The white folk won't join the black church. But yet black folk want to go to a white church, but I don't care where you go, you're still black. Yellow, but you're black. Brown, but you're black. Black, I don't care what you call, you're still black. Yes, sir. Yes, now, as far as the business are concerned, take for instance First State Bank. There's been in this community was in this community for over 90 years.
First State Bank. You may have not understood that.
Yes, sir. Over 90 years. And did not get the support from the black community. Why? I mean, just why? I think that there are a myriad of reasons as to why. I'm not saying justifiable reasons. Yes, sir. But did not give that support. Yes, sir. So we tend, it's not only for banking as far as business, there's a feeling they have about black doctors. Yes, sir. About black lawyers. Yes, sir. It's a thing that runs across the gamut. And I think it's partly because of the way black folk, Willie Lynch came to America for the purpose of teaching the slave masters how to control black slaves because they were running away. He said, this is what you do. He said, you turn the young black against the old black and the old black against the young black. Turn the light-skinned black in the house against the brown-skinned black in the yard. Then turn the yellow and the brown against the black man in the field. And make them distrust one another, but teach them to depend on the white slave master. Yes, sir. That thing, he said, if that worked for a year, it worked for a lifetime, and brother is still working. Yes, sir.
Now, guess who was sitting there? How did I get this footage? Caleb. He's sitting in there. He is getting ready when they have the question and answer to ask Dr. Campbell a question. Now, one of the things that I want to ask you about Dr. Campbell is, who are we talking about? Creflo Dollar, you're a pastor. Creflo Dollar, Lawrence Campbell. Creflo Dollar, Lawrence Campbell. Who are you going to listen to? Well, Lawrence Campbell, the biggest thing around in Danville. Well, he's not nearly even not even a little gnat's whisker compared to Creflo Dollar as far as coverage. And here is Creflo Dollar saying that what Lawrence Campbell is teaching about giving is actually incorrect. Because let me tell you, Lawrence Campbell is definitely on board with tithing. Well, what are you supposed to do? What you're supposed to do is you're supposed basically to recognize that these individuals are not working for you. Now, I'm going to let you listen to a little bit of what is being said by Lawrence Campbell's friends. This is an individual who is very well known to Lawrence Campbell. His name is J.C. Richardson. He is a bishop, he claims, over in Martinsville. He's also involved in the city council. He is not a city council member, but you will constantly see his footprint up in there. Take a listen.
But Bishop S.C. Johnson had been a disciple of Bishop R.C. Lawson, Bishop Smallwood Williams, who was Bishop Campbell's pastor. Now, Bible Way changed their position about 6 or 7 years ago. Until then, they never ordained women. But I think it was, I want to say 1999. I could be wrong on the year.
What? Just, you see me shaking my head? It's like this information you're giving me is very disconcerting. What is it? It's these guys are telling publicly they didn't ordain women until 1999 or whenever it was. J.C. Richardson might be wrong about that, but what difference does it make? You mean to tell me that you actually were not letting women be pastors, you weren't ordaining them into leadership position, but now you are, Lawrence Campbell. Now you're telling me the Creflo dollar is changing on giving. One of these is definitely a boon, I'm talking about a big boost, letting the women be pastors. Because if your wife happens to be a pastor, show me that through that other, if she happens to be a pastor, then guess what? You're getting more money into the Campbell household. Now, I don't think Lawrence Campbell lets his wife be a pastor. I'm fairly certain that he doesn't, but we're talking about rank and file. He's over a whole bunch of other individuals, and all of a sudden now he has pronounced that you can have women pastors. What that means is the pastor now can actually have his wife to be ordained, and guess what? She got to be paid too. Double dipping. That's exactly what that is. It is a boost. It's a boom. But you see what they're doing? They're admitting in front of you, and you're just sitting back and saying, well, they were wrong. Well, if they were wrong about that, we've been telling you all along, as far as what the Bible says, that in the spiritual realm, that you're supposed to have leadership from the men. In the home, who is the spiritual leader in the home? Same thing. Nobody has a problem with that. You're not racist. You're not a phobe of some sort, or you're not a person who is machoistic or whatever, because you basically have order at your home. Well, but when it comes to religion, oh no, you got to let the women take the place right alongside the men. But he's basically saying, no, it didn't used to be this way. And now we're hearing that the giving is actually different. Now, we've got the priest, we've got the religious individuals in front of you, and now we want to go back and we want to talk about some of our princes. So what we got going on? Lawrence Campbell just made a very, very grand statement about how people end up creating the hierarchy that you actually have. You have people turn against each other, and they have distrust for each other. Now, who is telling you what the Bible says, I'm saying, as far as trust is concerned? What does the Bible say is a standby? Everybody knows about what does the Bible say broadcast, because we always tell you what the Bible actually says. And we put up the scripture right in front of you in your grandmother's Bible, which is the King James, and then we bring your princes and your priests in front of you, and we let you listen to them as they actually perform in front of you. Now, what I'm going to do, City Council, I am going to have to kind of rush. I'm not going to rush, but I'm going to get to this particular point and we'll cover it. I'm assuming probably Caleb will probably cover some more of it tomorrow night. City Council princes work exactly like the priest. And Lawrence Campbell basically was telling you the playbook. You get people mistrusting each other. Take a listen.
Makes us look super petty.
Okay, but no.
No, I'm not going to say no. There's a certain thing. I forget who said it. If not now, then when?
Okay, sometimes you got to be swift. This is Chad Martin. Got a big mix-up in our city council right now. Big fuss going on about what one of the city council person's husband said, and Chad is actually championing that side right now. And I want you to listen to how he's playing the crowd here. All I'm doing, I am friends with Chad. I may not be friends after this, but that's the way this works. That's why, what does the Bible say? That is why we're off the ground. We've gotten off the ground because when it comes to the truth, we don't have friends that actually arrive before the truth or above the truth, arise above the truth. It's always the truth. Now, I want you to listen, pay close attention to what he's about to do. He's actually, he's trying to say, who is this person that said this? Listen.
Hey,
Okay, but no.
No, I'm not going to say no. There's a certain thing. I forget who said it. If not now, then when?
If not now, when?
What? There's a certain person, I forget who said this, if not now, then when? And if not us, then who? Do you realize that this is a very, very popular movie? It is in the time frame surrounding from 2017, the Charlottesville activity that just enraged our entire nation, where we saw individuals run over a group of individuals that were having a standoff with Black Lives Matter, the KKK, all kinds of different groups associated with that. And so this particular movie is a depiction of a police force that ends up having one of their officers get into the KKK. Is a black officer. How do you get into the KKK? Well, you just have to see the movie. I don't want to actually kill it for you, but this is one of the individuals that is a figure. His name is Kwame, and if you see it in print, it would be Ture, but it's actually, he's taking on a name, his other name, I forget what it was, but Kwame Ture. He is speaking to the college in Colorado Springs and the Black Council. He is speaking to them, and he says, if not now, when? Now, Chad is a very articulate and well-spoken individual, so let's listen to him quoting Kwame Ture. I cannot believe that Chad Martin doesn't know exactly what he's doing. I'm just, let me throw this out here. I can't remember who said it.
Hey,
Okay, but no.
I'm not going to say no. There's a certain thing. I forget who said it. If not now, then when?
If not now, when? And if not you, who? Who? We need an undying love for black people wherever we may be. All power to all the people. All power to all.
That means you are saying I'm going to represent 13,500 people in the city of Martinsville. There's another term. It's called toxic positivity.
That's one of our princes right there. And you see how this is going? Listen, y'all, just because a person's in the seat of a prince, all of these people, I don't really have a particular closeness or like over-caring for any of these individuals. They're princes. That's the mayor in the middle who was actually saying, no, wait, I'm not going to, no. That's the mayor. And all of these individuals have to be watched. Why? Because princes, remember what we said a while ago in 2 Kings? Princes, Jeremiah said, priests and prophets alike. The stork knows its time. The swallow knows its time. But Martinsville and Henry County, do you know what time it is? It's time to pay attention to what these guys are doing. Because this is play acting, and it's for a big purpose. What is it? All the marbles. If it's in religion, it's for your soul. And this is why we can't get things done. I'm running out of time here. And I hope that you were, let's just say, your appetite was whetted, and that you're planning on watching another episode of this tomorrow night. Caleb will be on at 8 p.m. He will actually be coming on a different channel than what I'm on. He'll be coming in the two states area that reaches all the way into Greensboro, North Carolina, to the south, and then the surrounding counties around here, two states area. And on Sunday night, we'll be doing a memorial along with, we'll probably get back into this to a certain degree. We'll be reaching on Sunday night at 9 p.m. on YouTube and on the same channel that Caleb will be on tomorrow night, WGSR 17. We'll be reaching all of the same places, except we'll be going over into east of Raleigh into the Rocky Mount area. One of us, Caleb or myself, will actually be on broadcast at 6 p.m. Central Time in Houston, Texas, hmstv.org. If you're in the Houston area, you can actually see that on HMSTV, Houston Media Source, hmstv.org, 6 p.m. Central Time. What does the Bible say? Coming to you in Harris County, Houston, Texas. Appreciate you for being with us tonight. And you can see our information up on the screen, I'm assuming. And our phone lines are always on. You can text us, especially if you want us to help you in some kind of way. Thanks for being with us. Always ask for what does the Bible say? God bless you. Good night.